Hello and welcome to the Rival Reds. We're back here at the place in Leeds and we've got a pint of Saltaire Blonde. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate.
I'm here with Mike and this is Rick and we're going to be discussing football today.
England, of course, aren't the only team in a semi-final this week. It's also France versus Belgium, which is taking place tomorrow.
La Belgique.
La Belgique, indeed. I didn't realise you parlez-vous.
I did a little bit. I'm not sure what the Dutch is for that, but I'm sure that they'd appreciate it if I rolled that out too.
Well, exactly, a bit of Flemish as well, but I cleared my throat before this recording, so luckily we're all good to go in that regard. But this is the game that most people said could have been the final. Obviously very disrespectful people who don't understand the team sport and England's phenomenal performances so far, but I think it's not...
Interestingly though, for it to have been the final, Belgium would have needed to finish second in the group.
Yeah, they have Januzaj to blame, really. His Wonderstrike, he didn't get the memo. His Wonderstrike has cost them an arduous tie against Brazil and now France.
Yeah, Belgium's second team have
let them down by doing too well. Yeah.
But to be fair, if you're, as Gareth Southgate was saying, we want to beat everyone.
He says that in public, and I don't disagree with him. But you would far rather beat as few of the finalists as possible, or as few of the good teams as you can.
I think, I'm not going to not take an easy route to the final if we can get it. But
if it's offered, it's always preferable.
But he's right. We wanted to stay in the winning spirit. I don't think we in any way threw the game.
Well, this is an interesting one. So before that game, I would say almost to a pundit before the Belgian game this is, every pundit was saying, it doesn't matter who we get, it's all about the team spirit and that winning mentality, we've got to keep it going. Do you think now, given that we would have been playing Brazil followed by France, it's completely disproven that? You would probably rather have our run so far, and winning spirit doesn't matter as long as you're drawn against supposed minnows.
You're saying, have they all changed their mind?
Have they all changed their mind?
No, it's totally better to finish second.
They went for the honourable answer, but it's not the correct answer.
I think no matter what happened, people would have tried to put a positive spin on it. Because
yes, true.
Ultimately, what matters is being positive. Mm-hmm. And I think we've had far too many World Cups in the past where the media and the pundits have had nothing but negative things to say about the way we've performed, the way we've been set up, etc., etc. And I think it's just great to see a bit of positivity coming through. Even if it doesn't result in us winning the World Cup, it's just such a better feeling to be reading articles and listening to pundits talk the team up rather than telling us all about what our deficiencies are.
Yes, agreed. It's been a big change for this World Cup compared to the previous tournaments, is the lack of expectation and the lack of negativity when the first sign of something going wrong happens. And it has been a welcome change.
Yeah, tenuously, just before we get on to France and Belgium, I just want to link to a bet that a punter had on the quarterfinals. So, first up, he had... not first up. He had Antoine Griezmann to score from outside the penalty area at 16-1. He had Kevin De Bruyne to score from outside the penalty area at 18-1. He had Harry Maguire to score a header at 14-1. And to round off the bet, he had Ivan Perisic to score at 28-1 from outside the penalty area, which obviously didn't happen. But had that come in, how much do you think he would have won from his £1 stake?
£1 stake. Was it an accumulator or was it
accumulator?
Okay. I'm gonna go with 2,500. Is that
£140,000?
Wow.
That's what he missed That's what he missed out on.
That's what Ivan Perisic
couldn't be bothered
Yeah.
to score from outside the penalty area.
It was just laziness as well, really. I mean, he's done it in previous games. He had the chance to
think
do
he's
it.
bang out of order, I'm honest.
I think so, yeah.
Bang out of order.
I think he should apologise personally.
Yeah, there's a thing with the England players that they donate their match fees to charity. And I think Ivan Perisic should be considering donating his match fee to this guy.
This individual, yes. Failing that, Gamblers Anonymous.
Okay, let's move on with the
predictions. Yes. So, France, Belgium, two incredibly strong teams. Two teams that I think it's not controversial to say are stronger than the two teams in the other side of the semi-finals. How do you see this one going?
So I'm thinking 2-1 Belgium. I went with Belgium to beat Brazil, and I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with Belgium. I think they're not the team they used to be. You know, they got to 2 quarterfinals in the last 2 tournaments, and I don't think that they're the flaky team that they were back then. I think they're more of a team than they were back then. All right, they've got a bunch of individuals that were outstanding in their last match, but I don't think it's about the individuals. I think it is more. I mean, even when they came up against us in the group stage, their second team beat us. They seem, everyone's banging on about our team ethic, the way that we're working for each other. But I think the same is true of Belgium. I think if you read the Belgian press right now, it's probably the same story going through their media.
Yeah, I think that's true, and I think you could obviously the visual manifestation of that was in the huddles at the full-time whistle against Japan and against Brazil, where Kompany, Lukaku were very vocal in bringing the team together, and it was a fantastic show of unity.
I mean, their reaction against Japan when they were 2-0 down.
Yeah, that's it. A lot of teams would have crumbled, particularly given how many upsets there's been in this tournament so far. It would have been very easy to just sort of think.
They showed no fear against Brazil whatsoever. There wasn't a single element of we don't deserve this to be seen anywhere. They were absolutely brilliant. I thought Lukaku's run to set up the goal was absolutely outstanding. He was brimming with confidence.
Yes, he does look a very, very strong player in that Belgian setup. And obviously, I think a lot has been sort of said about how De Bruyne might not have quite the influence he does at City, played in a more defensive or at least more withdrawn role. But I think in the last couple of games, he's certainly shown glimpses of that player and shown that even in the last minute, he can pick a pass. He has the quality to pick a pass to set up that winner against Japan. And yeah, they're a team of fantastic individuals who I think for the first time this tournament are really coming together as a very, very strong team.
So it sounds like you're going for Belgium as well, are you?
However,
here we go.
This is where this comes in. I think while the team spirit is there for Belgium, and they are obviously a very talented team, France are just better. I think France's players, there's not that much in it, but have such a talented squad.
I wouldn't disagree with you, but I think what we've seen in this World Cup is the talent you have in your squad doesn't matter for shit. I think that's gone out the window. I think this is the first World Cup in my memory where the individual players that you have don't seem to matter to the result that you get.
I would definitely agree with that. I think it's been a move away from the either one-player teams or just being the team is a sum of the collective. It's definitely
reminds me
more than that.
It reminds me of when Greece won the Euros and you had pretty much a rubbish Portugal team winning 1-0 every game up against a rubbish Greece team winning 1-0 every game, and just two teams absolutely duking it out to try to win Euros, which nobody expected those two teams to be in the final.
Yes, agreed. And I think we've definitely seen shades of that. And I think in international football, it's a marked difference to certainly the club game in England, which for the last season has been dominated by attacking, progressive, high-press football, international football, particularly this World Cup, being very organised and working for each other has oftentimes proven to be enough against more talented opposition. And I think that could come true. I think Belgium do have a closer unit and more team spirit. I just think that France, the players they have, and they're not defensively weak. They don't have any areas of weakness. And Deschamps, say what you will about him, is a very good defensive manager, and I think he will set them up to stifle most of Belgium's creativity, and similar almost to a Mourinho job. At one point within the 90 minutes, one of those players is going to have a moment of brilliance. And I would go, my prediction will be 1-0 France. I think it'll be a tight game. I think Belgium will be on the front foot for most of it, but I think France will probably score at some point and then be able to keep it close.
1-0, the most common international scoreline.
Who doesn't know that?
The most common score. Interestingly, since I've told you that fact, have you changed your...
All of my predictions are now on going to be 1-0, just for the law of averages.
Now that you know that 20% of games finish 1-0.
Well, exactly.
Have you changed your prediction since I told you that?
No.
Was it 2-1 before
that? It would always be 1-0 just purely because I think France's defence is as good as anyone else's in the tournament, and they will have eventually the skill to break down.
They got Kante sweeping everything up.
Well, exactly. It was like that against Argentina, where you had Matuidi and Pogba and Kante in front of a very, very strong back four, and you can't do anything to that. You just can't really play through it.
So, I think if France don't get to the final, and possibly this could go for England as well. Certainly if it's a Croatia-Belgium final, but possibly even if it's a Belgium-England final, I think it could add a really big shift in international football and the way football is played internationally based on those teams getting to the final, because there's been so much dominance of the big six, that your Germany, Italy, France, Brazil, Argentina,
and Spain.
Thank you. There's been so much dominance of those teams of all tournaments in the last 30 years, 40 years, maybe. I just wonder. I can't help but wonder if we see two teams make it to the final that have never been to the final in Belgium and Croatia. Does that give hope to every single team that is considered a minnow? I know Belgium aren't considered a minnow, but I mean the smaller teams that don't have the history, they don't have the expectation to make it to the final. Does it change the way they play? Do they sit up and start to think, right, how can we copy what Belgium and Croatia have done? Belgium's a tiny nation.
Yes.
In real terms of what they should expect to be doing. I know they've got great players, but how have those great players come about? What have they been doing in the background to help them to get there? And can that be replicated?
Yeah, I think it does show that. I think to some extent you can remove Belgium or count Belgium as a separate category just because of all this talk about that golden generation and this being the crop of Belgian products, which is once in a generation, once in a lifetime, arguably, that so many very talented footballers will come about at the same time. Obviously, I don't think you can really plan for things like that, but you can plan for how you capitalise on it. And obviously, England are testament to the fact that having a golden generation by and of itself is not enough to guarantee you tournament success.
Certainly not if you put a defensive manager in charge of an attacking bunch of players.
Precisely. You need that right balance, and you need a team that works better than the sum of its parts. And I think Belgium are approaching that now with the way that team performs, which is getting the most out of their most talented players. Interestingly, about the teams without the tournament pedigree, if England do get to the final by beating Croatia, they'll be the first team to ever reach the final of a World Cup since 1970 without playing a previous winner. It's interesting. Never played a previous winner in the entire tournament. I've never had to beat a team that's won the World Cup. First team since 1970 to do that.
Well, and they may have to in the final.
Exactly, they may face it in the final. Yes, exactly. If Belgium get through and we beat Belgium, we win the World Cup without ever playing a previous winner, which goes to some extent.
I almost don't want that to happen. I almost want France to get to the final, just so nobody's going, oh yeah, but you didn't really have to play anyone, did you?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that would be awful, because then it leaves a lingering doubt in our players' minds. Yeah, I really want them to come out of this World Cup thinking, we can do this every time. Why can't we do this for the next... like Spain did when they finally met their potential.
Yes.
They just went on and dominated. They were so brilliant over a 6-year period. And I just want us to have that kind of same belief going forward, that we can... Do you know what? Even if we don't go any further, even if we finish 4th in the third place playoff, I just want us to take something from this world, take some belief from this World Cup that actually we can be great. We can do this again. There's no reason. I've always thought our place in world football is probably the quarterfinals. That's kind of always my expectation.
Certainly in our lifetimes. Well. It's been a cold hard.
And I'd love it if even if our expectation was changed to semi-finals, because that means we're one of the 4 best teams in world football. And I would love it if we kind of started expecting to get to a semi-final. That would be great.
I would agree that it would be good, but I would have to be the cold dose of reality here, because there's one very important thing that Spain team has, or had, that this England team doesn't have, and that's good players. I think a team with Xavi, Iniesta, David Villa, Torres, Casillas, Piqué, Ramos just rolls off the tongue. Whereas this England team is a triumph of the average player.
I think part of you mentioning those players in that way is that they had that sustained success. If in 6 years' time, we're rolling up at the Euro Championships final with England against Germany, I would like to think that we would be thinking about the young players that we have now in the same way that we think about Xavi, Iniesta, et al.
And we may well
if
do.
We've had that same kind of sustained success. Kane might, in 6 years' time, have been banging in 20 goals a season for 10 years. 10 years.
So it would have been a 10-season wonder at that point.
And you might be looking at him thinking, this is the best player in the world. He might have moved for God knows what sort of money people will be moving for in 10 years' time. But in 6 years' time.
Bitcoin.
He might have moved. He might have moved for 300 million and be the best player in the world.
He could, but I mean, Kane out of the picture, because he is the only world-class, or whatever, however you want to call it, player that England have. Henderson probably won't.
But Henderson's one of the older heads. Henderson will be in his 30s. He'll be akin to a James Milner is now. He might have retired.
True, but here's how I see this England team as being in contrast to the Spain team. So the Spain team was a team of a phenomenally talented group of individuals who had done excellent things for Barcelona and Real Madrid, coming together, overcoming the differences between Barca and Real Madrid to perform very well for a national team, given all of the political baggage that goes with that in Spain. Yeah. This England team is, I think, completely in contrast to that, because they were elite players, a testament to lower leagues. I think it's a testament to English strength beyond the Premiership. There's only one player in this current England squad who has not had at least a loan spell at a lower league team. I'm putting you on the spot, but can you think who that is? Okay, I'll give you a bit of time to think about it while I finish my point. So the issue is, and obviously some of these are just 3 or 4 loan spells whilst being at a club like Manchester United or Liverpool or Arsenal or Chelsea, and obviously having a career destined for the upper echelons of the game. However, I think more than any other team in the past, this England team is built from players who didn't quite make the cut at being the number one man at their club, or is useful in a certain way, but there's a lot of rough edges in this team, and they complement each other very well. And I think arguably the fact that none of them really are star men, and none of them are the main force of their own club, allows them to come together and be more than the sum of their parts, and put any issues in the side. Put any issues of which club they come from to bed. There's a very interesting interview with Lampard where he said that one of the problems with the golden generation is not just, Lampard and Gerrard not being able to play together. It was the
didn't
fact
eat
that
together. They didn't bond.
exactly.
They didn't mix.
Yeah, it was the fact that they would come to each international tournament as the Man United players and the Chelsea players and the Liverpool players, and they would know that in a whatever it is, 9 days later, they would go back and they would be at war for the rest of the season. Whereas I think this tournament, whether it's because City have just been so far ahead that there hasn't really been much of a domestic challenge, but I think it's more than that. I think it's to do with the quality of players being slightly less than that, that they can put all that beside and actually go together as a united team.
I've got two guesses.
Go on, yeah.
Rashford?
Rashford is correct. Yes, Rashford is correct. There is one other player who's only had...
So you mean there were two players? That's what I'm saying.
Rashford wasn't the one I was thinking of, but he is also correct. So let's assume there were two
We
players
need to
now.
fact check this. When
We will have to fact check this.
My other person that I was thinking of was Ashley Young.
No, Ashley Young... Watford? In the Championship?
Okay.
I think he played for Watford while they were in the Championship, but it definitely isn't Young. There's one other player who's never had a loan spell or a move outside of the top flight.
Go on.
Sterling.
Okay.
Sterling has never played...
yeah, he has. He came to Liverpool from QPR. I'm pretty sure he had his debut for QPR in the Championship. I might be wrong, but I'm almost certain he did. I'm almost certain he did at 16.
This could be...
Good question though, Mike. Good question.
Okay, so moving on swiftly from that. Back to France and Belgium. We've got different winners. You think that Belgium will do it, I think that France will do it. Getting a slightly different question. Who would England rather play in the final? If you had the choice.
I don't know, because I think perceived wisdom says you'd prefer to play Belgium because they don't have the history of a final. I think Liverpool's failures over the last 2 or 3 seasons has been largely down to them not having the experience in finals to be able to push through and win something, despite being in 3 finals in that time. So I think maybe perceived wisdom is to say France, but that's not necessarily because their players have been in finals, rather that their country has been in finals,
past,
and therefore I
tenuous.
don't know if that actually matters a jot, because none of them have individually. Players from both nations have been in lots of finals. They're very successful players. Hazard has won pretty much everything. Did he win the Champions League with Chelsea? Or did he come in shortly after that?
I want to say he might have came in slightly after that, but regardless of that,
both got
2
very
or 3 Premier
successful
League
players.
medals.
I don't know. I think because I think I'll take it from the viewpoint of what I think might happen in the final, and if Belgium come in and we play Belgium, I think they'll be cagey and very wary of our own strengths. But I think if France come up against us, I think there may be an element of arrogance and thinking they're better than us individually as individual players, and so I think they may underestimate us. So maybe I would prefer to face France because I think they'll underestimate us.
Okay, that's an interesting one. And do you think that the fact of France being maybe a lesser known element to us compared to the Belgian team, who all play in England, or predominantly all play in England, and therefore there's playing a more Premier League-esque style. Has something to be said about it?
Has any merit?
France, is the fact
is that where you're going? Is that where
I would say
prefer to play Belgium?
I'll probably prefer to play Belgium, just because I think that they, and this is targeting them slightly unfairly, but any team that starts Nasser Chadli and brings on Fellaini to change a game, although they both work fantastically, maybe it's this English
have we both
inferiority
just
thing.
manufactured reasons why the other team will get to the final?
Yes, it could be, and I think to some extent, it doesn't really matter who we play. We will be the underdog, and we will be up against it to get anything from it. I don't think we'll go into either of those games with favourite status.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's absolutely true.
Yeah. So to some extent, I think we can watch this game as basically a neutral, and just hope for a good game of football. Hope it lives up to the billing, because it is probably, alongside the Belgium-Brazil game, a game that's worthy of being lighting up any tournament, really, and being a final.
Yeah, well, it's certainly been I think for me, the best World Cup in my lifetime, and I just hope it continues.
Yes, England going out would have a strong effect on that, to the negative. But yes, I agree. I think it's been fantastic.
Before we finish up, mate, what do you think of the pint?
I think it's been delicious. It's Saltaire Blonde, Saltaire Brewery, obviously relatively local here. They had a few pints of ale from them. This is a pale variety. It's absolutely delicious. Good session ale, as they would say.
Yeah, it's a really good way to put it, Mike. I love a good blonde, and this place does a good one. Taps are nice and clean, so there's no smelly odour there. It's coming out as it should do.
Absolutely.
I'm really enjoying it.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, cheers, and we'll see you guys next time.